What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. And for those of you all who are new on my channel, please make sure you like and subscribe. But anyway, we're going to get into this video. And if you want to see how I achieve the look for this plain, simple, maybe somewhat exotic basic set, just keep watching. Okay, so now I'm just taking my cuticle pusher and actually just pushing back the cuticles a little bit. Now I'm going in with my pointed cuticle bit. It actually just removes like all the cuticle off the actual nail plate and give your nail a better adhesion once you get to put your acrylic on. And it actually helps prevent a lot of liftage as well. But be careful because you don't want to like make them bleed, or you don't want to go too far because these can actually be like a little sharp. Now I'm going to take my medium sanding bit and I'm just going to like buff out the nail, etch out the nail, just so that when I get ready to place my glue, it actually has something to hold to. So this is where a lot of people get questions like, oh, my nails don't stick to my bed, or my nails come off quick, or once I glue the tip down, it come back off. This part actually has something to do with that. If you don't like etch it enough for the glue to actually place a hold, your nail tip will come off. And I'm not necessarily saying like after the nails are done, but for those who actually try to apply the tip and have issues. So now I'm just taking my duster and just dusting away all the dust. And these nail tips are actually from my brand or whatever. So there will be a number that you can text to place an order if you want to order nail tips. But yeah, so you just basically taking the tip and you just sizing it from literally sidewall to sidewall. Sometimes you have to just play around with the different fingers. There's no real truth to the saying that every nail has its own number. That's not true. Everybody's nails are different. Every nail has a different number. Sometimes your ring finger could be a number on this hand and then be a different number on the other hand. That's okay, that happens. But through this process, you do want to make sure that you're not like overly excessively putting glue, because too much glue is not always a good thing. You want to just put enough glue just to cover the tip that you're applying on the nail. That's it. To those of you all who usually watch my channel know that I don't use a tip cutter, but I had went to the nail supply store and bought a tip cutter, so I just decided to use it in this video. But I just use nail scissors. I don't know, I like them more because they're just smaller and more efficient, I guess. But in this scene, I'm just basically just sizing the nail, making sure they're the same length, so when I file and size them up, etc., there will be no issues. And now I take my cuticle nippers, but I actually do this part once I like file around the cuticle. But I was really trying to decide if I wanted to clip her cuticles or not, but I just decided to go ahead and do it anyway. Just because most of the time I do it and I feel like nails look better when you do this part. Now with your 88 grit file, you're just going to take it and you're going to make sure, okay, you can see my middle finger, I'm actually pulling back the skin on her nail. So when I do file down the sides, I'm not cutting. Or if I do decide to cut, it's your own finger that you're going to be scraping against rather than your client's skin. So with that being said, you just want to like lightly file, but file hard enough to where you can actually see the results in this file that you're doing. Because sometimes you can file and be like, oh, dang, like I don't feel like this file is filing or it's not doing enough. That's because you have to angle it different. It's not really touching anything if the file isn't on correctly. You can kind of feel when it's on right and when it's not on right. But you do want to keep your file on one angle because however you hold that file is however your shape will come out. I'm taking my Young Nails monomer and just pouring it in. And I use Pink Opal by Nail House for the glitter that I use. My primer is No Lift Nail Primer as always. And I use Cover Pink from Young Nails as always. I don't know, that's just my go-to acrylic. When people say, I don't know, just do anything, because I could just lay it so fast, it's just my go-to. I don't know. But now I'm just going through my first layer of primer, and then I'm going to actually prime as I go along, like just from hand to hand. I don't know, it works better. But if you do have like clients whose nails are always lifting or they breaking nails, you can actually go through prime all 10, and you can prime this hand, and then you can actually prime the nails as you go along. So now I'm going to take my first bead of acrylic, and I'm actually lay it right in the middle of the actual tip and the nail bed. So you want to place your acrylic, but you want to let your acrylic get a little bit hard, just so that it has like enough thickness, but not a lot of thickness, and where you could be able to still move it down the nail as you should. And it also gives you enough time to pat it into place and play with it if you need to, or stretch it out if need be, or however, whatever the case may be, until you decide that, okay, I'm gonna take the excess off now. But that's thick enough to me to wear, because when I go to lay my second bead, the second bead is actually building your apex. So you don't want to make the first one really, really thick, but thick enough so that it holds just strength itself. Now I'm about to go in with my third bead, which is my cuticle bead, and you want to make this actually small so that it don't like run off and go like on the skin or over flood the cuticle or nothing of that nature. Because even though you like flood the cuticle and you clean it up, sometimes you still get liftage because you didn't clean it all the way to the plate, like you didn't foul through it, if you get what I'm trying to say. So really your third bead is kind of one of the most important beads. Well, they all important, but I feel like that's the most important bead, because once that acrylic flood that cuticle, is lifted from there on out. Like, I mean, not necessarily all the time, but most of the time, even like beginning stages, I've noticed that. So for the ombre nail, you're gonna take your white bead and you're gonna put it in the middle of the nail, and you're just gonna like smooth it out down the nail. And you wanna make sure that the actual back, well, this part that you're doing right now is really, really thin. So when you go to put your cover color on the top, you don't get like no real bulky ombre or no real bulky, like what you wanna call it, fade line or fade point, whatever. Like you see me, I'm like making it flush, so when I do go, it's all smooth and you don't see like the white through the pink, or too much pink, white still and not enough pink, or gaps and all that extra stuff. And when doing stuff like this, you want to make sure that you're like feather brushing this type of stuff, because if you go like and pat into the nail, you're basically taking all that acrylic off. So that's wasting product, because if you're putting it on to take it off, you got to put more on. So once you get it like to let it set a little bit and play around with it a little bit, then start to take it off, because you don't want to put all that acrylic on and wipe off more excess than you let build onto the nail. Now you're going to go in with your pink or your cover bead, and you're going to place it right on top of where you placed the white. So when you're doing this, you just want to make sure that that bead is not super big, to where when you start to like feather it out or like brush stroke it out, it's not covering the whole nail, but enough to make a fade line. And this can be a little thin. It's okay, because you're going to use another bead on top of it. But what I would do, that I see that this is actually a little thin, I will go back with another cover bead just in case that cuticle bead isn't enough to cover all the pink. But not a lot of acrylic, just enough to cover it. And I'm going to actually let it set a little bit more, so that the cover can actually be a cover color and not like see-through. marble nail or the marble ombre effect, you're gonna take your white and you're gonna just place it on the nail, but you want to like scatter the white like over the nail to like not make it look so uniform. And I did this in slow motion so you can actually see that I'm literally just scattering the white, however it just scattered down the nail. Even though this is better said, well, not better said, better done than said, I don't know, I can't really explain it. I'm so used to just doing it. Just take a white, just scatter, just make it, some of it look clear, some of it look white. This is what you can actually do like an inconsistent like kind of foundation to a nail, like when you're doing marble, because you want to see through some of it. You could either use clear to make it clear and white, or you could just use white and make it in like a clear nail. Whatever, you could just basically do this like preference. This is all preference really. It's just how you want to do it and how it looks best to you, because everybody has their own input or own opinion, own spin to doing stuff, but this is just specifically how I do mine. And this is what the foundation looked like before I even touched it with foul. But now I'm taking my 80/80 grit foul once again, and I'm just cleaning up the acrylic, shaping it up, cleaning up under it, fouling it, making it sharp, of course, so I can get ready so I can use my e-foul on top to thin them out. pick whichever carbide of your choice that you like to use, and or whatever you're most comfortable with, and you can just start like with going around the cuticle. But remember how I told you that like if you flood the cuticle, this and that. So this part is especially important if you do flood your cuticle. Even sometimes you want to make sure that when you go around the first time, you get all that away, but do not cut them or nothing like that. Like you will know that it's a very thin line between it. But you just want to shape the nail and file it out, buff it out to whatever your liking is. I like my nails a little bit thick, but they not really like overly excessive thick. But they just thick enough so that way they don't break, and they thick enough to where when I start to e-file, I'm not filing away everything in the nail, not super thin. And last but not least, I'm going to go in with my 80/80 again. And I'm just basically just reshaping what I might have e-filed over, or what have made come out of shape, or what have dulled out a little bit. Just basically like, this is just like my final file. I don't know why I do this again, but I do, and it gives me a shape that I like. It's just basically defining your shape all over again. And it's actually important because sometimes when you e-file, you can have lines left, or you can have little, ins and outs of what you didn't miss. But this is why you take your file again and go over it, and then your buffer too. gets them out too. But I'd rather foul and buff. Even though it may take a little more time, I'd rather take the little time and make my work a little more perfect or look a little better than last time than to just let them leave like that or whatever. And also, you do want to make sure that you turn it around client's view and file that way too, just so you make sure that everything is how you want to see it and how they should see it when they actually leave from their appointment.